Before this gets buried like the truth they tried to drown. Subscribe, like, comment, and stay with us, because once you enter this place, there is no way out. The sirens screamed against the frozen Black Sea wind as the patrol cars skidded to a halt outside a rusted naval compound just outside Sevastopol. The gates were already open. That was the first red flag. Inside, floodlights cut through the darkness, illuminating a scene no one had been prepared for. A security guard floating face down in a holding pool meant for dolphins, his blood blooming slowly through the icy water. This wasn't supposed to happen here. Not in a place that officially didn't exist. The facility was known internally as Unit 721. On paper, it was a marine research and rehabilitation center. To the men who worked inside its concrete walls, it had a darker nickname: the Dolphin Prison. A dead-end black site where trained marine mammals were kept under military control, used for surveillance, sabotage, and retrieval missions, and then discarded when they became liabilities. The guard's name was Sergei Markov, 46, former Navy, clean record. He had been on night watch alone. No signs of forced entry. No struggle on land. The autopsy would later show he drowned, his lungs filled with chlorinated water. But what unsettled investigators wasn't how he died. It was where. His body had been found in Pool C. That pool was supposed to be empty. Detective Anna Morozova arrived an hour later, her breath fogging as she stepped past the yellow tape. She'd spent 15 years chasing organized crime, corruption, and disappearances tied to state contracts. She had never been allowed inside Unit 721 before. Now, with a body on the surface and international eyes quietly watching, she was being told to make it quick. Accident, the base commander said flatly, his coat still buttoned, his eyes never leaving the water. Markov slipped. Anna didn't answer. She crouched near the pool's edge. The water trembled slightly, as if something had just moved beneath it. She noticed claw marks along the tiled rim. Not human. Too narrow. Too precise. Which dolphins were assigned to this pool? She asked. The commander hesitated. A fraction of a second. But she caught it. None, he said. That unit was decommissioned. Decommissioned was a word Anna had learned to distrust. It usually meant buried. Evidence, people, or in this case, animals. As the forensic team lifted Markov's body, a small metal object clinked against the tile. A keycard. Not Markov's. This one was red, marked with a symbol she didn't recognize. 3 intersecting waves. Inside the administrative wing, Anna met Dr. Victor Levin, the facility's chief behavioral specialist. Thin, pale, with hands that shook just enough to be noticeable. He'd been with Unit 721 since its early days, back when Western journalists were still whispering about weaponized dolphins, like it was a Cold War myth. Levin insisted he'd been home all night. So did everyone else. But Markov wasn't alone, Anna said, placing the red key card on the table between them. Someone accessed Pool C after midnight. Levin swallowed. That's impossible. Anna leaned closer. Impossible or forbidden? Levin looked at the one-way mirror, then back at her. You don't understand what this place is, he said quietly, or what it does to people. As dawn broke, Anna walked the perimeter with Lieutenant Pavel Orlov, military liaison and the man assigned to make sure her investigation didn't wander where it wasn't welcome. He pointed out cameras, motion sensors, sonar nets in the water, a fortress designed to keep things in or out. Nothing leaves Unit 721 without authorization, Orlov said. Anna stopped walking. Then how do you explain this? She held up a printed still from the security feed. At 2:17 a.m., one of the exterior cameras had gone dark for exactly 90 seconds. When it came back online, something was missing from the frame. A transport crate, large enough to hold a full-grown dolphin. By midday, Moscow was calling. By evening, the story was already being shaped. A tragic workplace accident, no foul play suspected. Anna was told she had 48 hours. She spent them digging. Old shipping logs revealed inconsistencies. Unregistered transfers, crates rerouted to training sites that didn't exist. Personnel files showed psychologists reassigned after filing internal complaints. And then there was the name that kept surfacing in redacted reports: Mikhail Reznikov. Reznikov had been a senior trainer, celebrated for his work turning dolphins into near-perfect instruments of obedience. 2 years earlier, he vanished. Officially, he resigned. Unofficially, his apartment had been cleared out overnight, his phone records wiped. Anna tracked down Reznikov's sister in a gray suburb outside Moscow. The woman refused to open the door at first. When she did, her eyes were hollow. "They told me he was a traitor," she said, "that he sold secrets. But Mikhail loved those animals. He said they were smarter than us, that they remembered everything." "Remembered what?" Anna asked. The sister's voice dropped to a whisper. "What we made them do." Back at Unit 721, night fell again. Anna returned to Pool C alone. The water was still. Too still. She scanned the surface with her flashlight, then aimed it downward. Something moved. A pale shape glided just beneath the surface, slow and deliberate. Anna's pulse spiked. Pool C wasn't empty after all. She stepped closer, the red keycard heavy in her pocket. The lock on the restricted lower level beeped once, then slid open. The smell hit her first: salt, metal, and something rotten. The corridor led to a reinforced door marked with the same three-wave symbol. Inside, the lights flickered on, revealing rows of submerged enclosures. Some were empty, others weren't. In the far tank, a dolphin hovered motionless, its body scarred with old harness marks. Embedded near its dorsal fin was a small, blinking device. A tracking implant. Anna's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have come back." Then she noticed the writing etched into the glass of the tank, scratched from the inside. One of US talked, and when she turned around, the door behind her slammed shut. The lights went out all at once. Not a flicker, not a warning, just sudden, total darkness, thick enough that Anna Morozova felt it press against her eyes. The heavy door behind her clicked, then locked with a mechanical finality that echoed through the underground chamber. Her phone vibrated again. "You're standing in the wrong grave." Anna steadied her breathing. Panic wasted time, and time was already being stolen from her. She switched on her phone's flashlight and slowly turned in a circle. The dolphin was still there. Its eye, dark, intelligent, unsettlingly focused, tracked her movement through the glass. The blinking implant near its fin pulsed at a steady interval, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to it. This wasn't abandonment. This was containment. Anna moved closer to the tank. Along the rim, she saw scratches, deep, frantic gouges where something had slammed repeatedly against reinforced glass. On the concrete floor lay a broken headset, the kind trainers used for underwater acoustic commands. Someone had been down here recently, and they hadn't left in a hurry. A low hum vibrated through the walls as emergency power kicked in. Red lights bathed the room, revealing more details Anna wished she hadn't seen. Several tanks were stained dark near the drains. One enclosure had a tarp pulled halfway over it. Beneath the edge, something pale floated just below the surface. She didn't need to lift it to know. Footsteps thundered above her head. Anna backed away from the tanks just as the intercom crackled to life. Lieutenant Orlov's voice filled the chamber, calm, controlled, rehearsed. "Detective Morozova," he said, "step away from the enclosures and sit on the floor. You are trespassing in a restricted military zone." She laughed once, sharp and humorless. "You locked me in, Pavel. That's kidnapping, not protocol." Silence followed. Then Orlov spoke again, his tone colder. "You were given 48 hours. You chose to ignore your limits." The door opened just enough for armed guards to enter. They didn't look at the tanks. They didn't look at the dolphin. They looked only at Anna, like she was the contamination. She was escorted upstairs, stripped of her phone, her badge, her recorder. By morning, she was officially removed from the case. The story broke exactly as predicted. Guard dies in tragic accident at Naval Research Facility. No mention of dolphins. No mention of missing crates. No mention of Pool C. Anna packed her apartment that same night. Not to flee, but because she knew the next move wouldn't be official. It would be personal. The first call came from Dr. Victor Levin. "I shouldn't be contacting you," he said, his voice barely audible over the line. "They're monitoring everything." "Then hang up," Anna replied. "Unless you're ready to tell me why a dead man was dumped into a dolphin tank." A pause. "Then, they didn't dump him." Anna stopped moving. "Explain." "Markov wasn't a guard that night," Levin said. "He was a handler. He volunteered." "For what?" Levin exhaled shakily. "For punishment." They met 2 hours later in an abandoned tram depot, the kind of place forgotten by both the city and the state. Levin looked worse than before, eyes sunken, hands trembling violently now. "Unit 721 isn't just a weapons program," he said. "It's a prison, not for people." Anna said nothing. She let him unravel. When dolphins fail missions, when they disobey, or show aggression, or remember too much, they're not euthanized, Levin continued. They're isolated. Sensory deprivation, hunger conditioning, pain response retraining. And Markov? Anna asked. Levin swallowed. They needed to know if the conditioning still worked. Anna stared at him. You're saying they tested obedience by throwing a man into the pool? Levin nodded once. They wanted to see if the dolphin would attack on command. And did it? Levin's eyes filled with tears. No, it tried to protect him. Anna felt something twist in her chest. So they killed the dolphin instead? She asked. No, Levin said. They killed Markov. The second call came before Anna could ask more. An unlisted number. No voice this time, just a file transfer. Video. The footage was grainy, time-stamped 3 nights before Markov's death. Pool C. Markov in the water, struggling, shouting. A speaker crackled with distorted commands. The dolphins circled him, nudging him toward the edge, trying to keep his head above water. Then the command changed. A high-pitched acoustic tone shrieked through the feed. The dolphin recoiled in visible pain. Markov screamed. The video cut out. Attached to the file was a message. Mikhail tried to stop this. So did I? We failed. VL. Before Anna could respond, Levin's phone went dead. So did he. His body was found the next morning in his apartment bathtub. Wrist cut. No note. The file transfer vanished from her phone. But Anna had already copied it. She knew now why Mikhail Reznikov disappeared. He hadn't betrayed the program. He'd betrayed the silence. Anna went back to Reznikov's apartment herself. The place had been scrubbed professionally, but she noticed something the cleaners missed, a loose floorboard beneath the bed. Inside was a waterproof hard drive. On it were logs, schedules, mission reports, and one folder labeled Death Row. The footage inside was worse than the first video. Dolphins sent to attach mines to foreign vessels. Dolphins trained to retrieve objects from bodies underwater. Dolphins punished for hesitating, for refusing. At the center of it all was a name that appeared again and again on authorization forms. Lieutenant Pavel Orlov. Anna barely had time to process it before her door buzzer rang. 3 short presses. A code she hadn't heard in years. She opened the door to find a man with a beard, a scarred jaw, and eyes that looked permanently exhausted. Mikhail Reznikov, he said quietly. If you're still on this case, we don't have much time. Anna stared at him, heart pounding. You're supposed to be dead, she said. Reznikov shook his head. So are the dolphins. That's the problem. Behind him, parked across the street, an unmarked van idled. Engine running, lights off. Reznikov leaned in closer. They're moving the facility, he said, and they're not leaving any witnesses behind. Far away, beneath concrete and steel, Pool C was being drained, and something inside it was still alive. By the time dawn broke over the Black Sea, Unit 721 was already dying. Anna stood on a rocky bluff overlooking the coast, binoculars trained on the naval compound below. Trucks moved in tight formation through the gates, unmarked, sealed, efficient. This wasn't a cleanup. This was an erasure. Beside her, Mikhail Reznikov adjusted the hood of his jacket, his voice low. They'll flood the lower levels first. Salt water destroys evidence faster than fire. Then they'll scuttle the rest and call it structural failure. And the dolphins? Anna asked. Reznikov didn't answer right away. When he did, it was barely a whisper. They don't evacuate prisoners. The hard drive sat heavy in Anna's backpack. Copies of it had already been encrypted and scheduled for release. Journalists in Berlin, Stockholm, London. But timing was everything. Release it too early, and the story would be buried as foreign propaganda. Too late, and there would be nothing left to prove it was ever real. They needed something undeniable. They needed Pool C. Reznikov led her down a maintenance trail only former staff knew existed. The air smelled like oil and brine. Sirens wailed faintly inside the compound. Not alarms, but shift change signals. Routine. Controlled. Orlov will be here, Anna said. He always is, Reznikov replied. This is his legacy. They slipped through a drainage access just as water began pouring into the lower levels. Inside, the concrete corridors groaned under pressure. Emergency lights strobed red, bathing everything in the color of warning and blood. Pool C was half drained when they arrived. The Dolphin thrashed weakly in the shallow water, its movements slow, exhausted. The implant still blinked. A countdown. They're using the tracker as a kill switch, Reznikov said. When the water hits a certain salinity, it triggers cardiac arrest. Anna didn't hesitate. She smashed the control panel with the butt of a fallen guard's weapon. Sparks flew. The blinking stopped. For a moment, there was only the sound of rushing water. Then applause echoed from the doorway. Lieutenant Pavel Orlov stepped into the chamber, flanked by armed men. He looked immaculate, as always. Calm, unbothered. "You should have taken the reassignment, detective," he said. "You would have lived a long, quiet life." Anna stood between him and the pool. "You turned a prison into a laboratory. You murdered people to see if animals would obey." Orlov smiled faintly. "We measured loyalty. Yours failed." Reznikov stepped forward. "They remember, Pavel. That was your mistake. They remember every command, every scream." Orlov's gaze flicked to the Dolphin. For the first time, something like unease crossed his face. "Shoot them," he ordered. The first gunshot never landed. A deep, concussive boom rolled through the facility as an external charge detonated. One of the journalists Anna had contacted hadn't waited. The compound shuddered. Lights went out. Water surged. In the chaos, Anna grabbed Orlov. The two slammed into the pool's edge as gunfire echoed blindly around them. Reznikov dove for cover. "You can't stop it," Orlov hissed, struggling. "Even if this place falls, the program survives. Somewhere else." Anna forced his head down, holding it inches from the water. "Then look at what you built." The Dolphin surfaced slowly, its eye locking onto Orlov's. Not aggression. Recognition. Orlov froze. For the first time, he understood. The facility alarms changed pitch. This time, real panic. Guards fled. The sea reclaimed the lower levels in a roaring surge. Anna released Orlov and ran. They barely made it out before Unit 721 collapsed inward, concrete imploding as seawater rushed through decades of buried corridors. The Dolphin prison disappeared beneath the waves, taking its secrets with it. Almost all of them. 3 days later, the footage dropped. Not leaks. Not rumors. Full files. Videos. Logs. Faces. Commands. Death row. Governments denied everything. Then they denied the denials. Protests erupted. Sanctions followed. Committees were formed. Promises were made. Lieutenant Pavel Orlov was arrested while attempting to board a private jet. He claimed he was following orders. No one was listening anymore. Anna testified once. Then she vanished from public view. Mikhail Reznikov never resurfaced. And the Dolphins? Officially, none survived. Unofficially, fishermen began reporting strange encounters weeks later. Pods behaving differently, avoiding harbors, circling old military zones. One trawler captain swore a dolphin pushed his sinking boat toward shore, then vanished into deeper water. Anna watched the reports from a small apartment far from the sea. She replayed the last uncorrupted clip she had saved, the one they missed. It showed the dolphin in Pool C, hovering near the glass. And just before the feed cut out, it made a sound. Not a command response. A warning. They called it justice. They called it closure. But prisons don't disappear. They evolve. And somewhere, in darker water, something remembers. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Stay close.